Welcome to the Education Marketing Leader podcast with Chris Raposo. If you're looking to dive into the latest industry insights, draw inspiration from education success stories, or just want to sharpen your marketing skills, you're in the right place. Here, we bring you a diverse range of voices from experts and leaders in the field, offering you a unique blend of professional development and practical strategies. Whether you want to understand your audience better, stay updated with the latest tech trends in marketing, or expand your professional network, we've got you covered. So while you're driving on your morning commute or winding down after a busy day, let's explore the dynamic world of education marketing together.
Hey, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Education Marketing Leader with Chris Raposo. Today, my guest is joining me for the second time on the podcast. Her name is Maria Kuntz. She's the Director of Content Marketing Strategy and Communications in the Advancement Division at the University of Colorado, Boulder. Maria, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me again. It's really great to be here.
It's great to see you again. Always great to have you on the show. Always great to hear your insights on other podcasts as well as mine. Really grateful for that. Today we're talking a bit about scaling content that drives actions, because in the end we got to keep the lights on, and this is what content does sometimes. You gave a presentation recently to the Advancement Division, and where you linked content directly to business goals like giving and alumni affinity. You know, where some of us are writers, other are business people in communications. How do you move the advancement team, who are more of the storytellers, from thinking about content as strictly stories to seeing as a lever for strategic engagement?
Yeah, I think that at the heart of it all, I mean, whether you're a writer or a digital marketer or a social media manager, we are all working in business. And I know that's sometimes a dirty word in higher education to talk about the business side and think about ROI and business goals. But at the end of the day, we are trying to move forward a mission. And the best way to do that is to have really clear strategic goals. So when I think about content and talking with my team about content, it's not just stories. It's not just words. They're really strategically selected and designed stories that can be told and shared with many different mediums, but they're all intentionally linked to business outcomes. So if we're trying to encourage people to volunteer or to mentor, we need content that supports that. So instead of, kind of saying, oh, what could we write? Or I heard there's this good story, coming back to center all the time and saying, what is the North Star? What are the business goals? And how do we develop content that supports us moving in that direction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, how do you come up with that content? Where do you get the ideas from? That it's content that actually moves the needle, and not just like an idea from a writer. It's like, this sounds like a really good idea, but then it falls on deaf ears.
Right. I mean, that's where the creativity comes in. I mean, there are lots of ways to create fun content that moves along somebody toward a desired action. So you could think about volunteering, and you can tell a story about someone who volunteered. You can tell a story about the impact of somebody who volunteered. You can do a more data-driven perspective that gives numbers about the impact, X number of volunteer hours and 200 volunteers in one day. You can combine those, which is something our team's doing more and more, is using, at least in the written format, using narrative, but also data, and combining those in the same space. This goes back to like very early copywriting training that I had. People look for different information because we're wired differently. Some people scan headlines. Some people read every single word. Some people look at the pictures and read the captions. So I always talk with my team about how are we telling stories at all of these levels, so that if I get the person on this page who's going to give it 8 seconds, that they scan it and they get important information. Again, I'm talking more about written, but I think this all translates to video. You can take the same concepts. What are you focusing on in a video? Are you adding in data? Are you adding in pull quotes or, layered, nuanced storytelling? The same with social. Take it to an event. So for me, it's always, I look at the written word as often where it's frequently for us where a story starts, and then we can scale it bigger, smaller, multimedia for whatever the platform is that we need to tell it on, or we want to try telling it on.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to not have a one size fits all approach, but to segment your audiences. It's interesting what you said with, some people just skim it, other people they're reading every single word. And, when we take email workshops, for example, and you talk about the F pattern, it's like F pattern. People read the first line and they read the left side of it. And I was always thinking to myself, wow, I read every single word in an email. Like I was always, and it's how I wrote the emails as well.
Yeah.
And you have to think, not everybody does it that way. But then I've heard so much about the F pattern where people just skim, and I'm like, maybe I'm doing it wrong. So, but I'm
It's
not.
not wrong. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think it's wrong. I think it's that. So, I mean, the course I took, and this was a long time ago, was based in Jungian psychology. And my guess is, based on what you're saying, that we would have put you in this blue group of really interested in data and statistics and precision and wanting to know the facts. And when you're done, you really know that content super well.
that would make a lot of sense because I worked 8 years in the legal industry looking at legal documents where every single word is important, where an and or an or can change the entire document, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have that level of attention to detail, and it can change. People can shift throughout their lives about how they engage with it, but just knowing that you're going to have people engaging with it in different ways. Watch the video. Okay, I do you really watch the whole video? Or are you the person who kind of speeds it up? Do you listen to it on time and a half? Do you scroll the button and say, okay, just get me to the end? Sometimes with a long reel, I get really impatient. I'm like, come on, just
Um,
get to the point. You're
I
burying
get
the lead.
I get it. I get it. No, I always admire people that can listen to things at 1.5. I can't comprehend it.
I tried 1.75. That was rough, but 1.5, it's helping me for grad school, listening to videos
Yep.
faster.
That is true. That is true. Get to the point. That's exactly right. But let's talk audience segmentation. In the presentation that I reviewed, you had 7 tiers. You divided alumni and donor audiences into 7 tiers. We're not going to go through all of them, but I want to double down on your data that showed that tier 4 audiences gravitated towards the light content, while tier
Mhm.
5 preferred signature initiatives. How do you operationalize those insights?
Yeah, so the data, this is the first time we're really presenting it and looking at it. We started testing and tracking over the maybe not even quite a year, but we've started doing some specific campaigns to nurture these 2 tiers within our audience segments. In terms of operationalizing it, we're really at that point where we're going, okay, this is what we know. Knowing that tier 4, we already know engages a lot.
Mm.
When we say engage, we look at case engagement metrics. So you could look those up, but they look at philanthropy, volunteerism, communication, and experiential. So coming to events. That group already is really engaged. They don't have as much capacity to give large gifts, but we know that all philanthropy matters. I mean, they still have, a significant capacity. Tier 5 is not as engaged, but they have a larger capacity to give based on the data we have on them. So I wouldn't say it was a surprise. It's like, oh, the group that's engaged really loves this delight content. So it might be a recipe, it might be a download about who are the other schools in the Big 12 and their mascots. So I think what we'll continue to do is make sure they're getting that. It was a switch for us already to move from very CTA driven, action driven content to weaving in delight content. And when we wove it in, we're seeing that they like it. So I think our next step is actually to now that we know it worked, keep doing it, monitor that, and start. We're going to do some additional campaigns to see if we can shift how they engage with that and move them into other spaces. Tier 5, that was interesting. Signature events. Actually, the very number one thing they clicked on was the logo at the top of the email. So we kind of put that out as an outlier, but I think we need to figure out why. I mean, they were going straight to the alumni website.
Hmm.
So there is something interesting there. They were going there maybe just to have their own adventure. So they are interested. They do want to know what's going on. So I think another next step is, okay, what's on the homepage? My colleague's leading a large web project, so I think more to come there. We're going to be probably redesigning that to, address people's interests and what we think what they'll do there. So the long and the short of it is we have the insights and we're now going to be in a new testing phase. Now that we know something, we're going to test it and see if we can get them to move and engage in a way that they haven't yet.
Yeah, super important to hyperlink that logo too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're
Which is,
clicking on it.
yeah, that is the crazy thing because you think, okay, for branding purposes, I'm going to throw the logo on there. Nobody's going to click at it, but that's the first thing they click at, and you can see that data, and then you can put a link towards where you want them to go. So that's
Yeah.
also
I mean,
good insight.
32% of our clicks were on the logo. It's a little, it's one of those insights that kind of makes you go, wow, why? But that means our homepage experience has to be really great because that's where they're going.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning into the episode today. I hope you're enjoying it so far. This episode is brought to you by Staymates, a full-service marketing agency servicing colleges and universities throughout the country. For more than 40 years, Staymates has helped higher ed institutions strengthen their brands, launch digital campaigns, and drive measurable enrollment growth. From audience research and content strategy to digital design and accessibility, Staymates brings deep expertise and a practical, results-driven approach to every engagement. Looking for a partner who really gets higher education? Learn more at staymates.com. Again, this is staymates.com for more information. And now, back to the episode. Yeah, and there's a certain type of affinity associated with the logo that draws people to it. When they see it, it's familiarity, it's
Right.
trust. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can trust that. Let's go there. Um,
Yeah. And they might even say, oh, this is interesting. What's on the website?
that's right.
It's great that they're doing that. Some people open an email, scan it, they don't click anything.
Hmm.
So it's
Yes,
exciting that they are clicking on that. Now it's how do we optimize that? And how do
yes,
we think about what their first experience is once they get to that next point
that's
of, yeah, the next
right.
point on the journey.
I'm sure they didn't. I mean, it the click-through rate grows over time too as you build trust and give them value. Because if you have a link that goes to something very meaningless to that particular audience, they're not going to click a second time. Unlikely.
Right. Right.
And the other thing you said with the tier four, with the that gravitates towards the light, resisting the urge to have a call to action every time. Because if you're in the business environment like me, I feel the need to every piece. I feel the need to have a call to action that drives revenue or leads people towards revenue when you're in the business sector and when you have a business mindset. So that's why it's good to have that yin and yang of people that are not so focused on the bottom line and that want to share stories that delight versus the people that, drive that revenue or drive towards that.
Well, I want to say that we do have a CTA on every piece of content, and that is something that we shift and we double down on. If we got someone here, we have to give them something more they can do. What we shifted was that every CTA is not give, register,
Mm,
sign up, volunteer.
got
Now
it.
we have CTAs that are learn more, read a story, share your story.
Mm,
That to me, that's really important uh,
hmm.
because otherwise we're creating a fatigue of always asking. It's like a one-sided relationship. If you're always taking and never giving, so just always asking people to do, give to us, give to us, give to us. So we're trying to give to them. We gave you something that's delightful. You enjoyed it. Here, download the recipe or download. We did a really cool spread, full page spread in our magazine on the Big 12. CU Boulder moved to the Big 12, and it was like, who are all the schools? Who are the mascots? How long would it take to get there? How can you get there by plane or car? And it was a fun collectible that people could download and put in their office or share with a friend. So that is still nurturing the relationship. And, it's if you're in maybe a more traditional sales and every time you meet with someone, you're like, hey, bye, you're going to fatigue that relationship.
Right. Right. 100%. It's like the analogy of candy, vegetable. You give, and then you give them something that's, that'll be healthy for you as well. But no, it makes a lot of sense, not just transactional, but further educating and also is University of Colorado Boulder? Is it a football school? What's the
But
main?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, football's big. Yeah, we've got Coach Prime, Deion
yeah,
Sanders is here. I mean, and talk
yeah.
about a master of brand marketing. I
I
mean,
know, amazing.
every day, every
Yeah.
week, I feel like we are all learning from him. I mean, he had a really difficult summer. He's been very public that he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. He was kind of, wasn't available, wasn't in the media for a few months, which was really unusual. And now he's back and he's on the sidelines and he needs to have an available restroom on the sideline. So he partnered with Depends. I mean,
Wow.
it's brilliant marketing. He's just, and he's taking down the stigma around bladder issues and incontinence and putting it right there on the football field and saying, we're an incredible team. And, I'm a human. I've got this issue and I need Depends. So let's not hide from it.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, his ability to co-brand and build his brand is remarkable.
that is amazing. It is amazing, but it takes somebody that doesn't take. I mean, he seems like a guy who takes himself very seriously, but in a way that doesn't take himself too seriously in order to help other people because of the masculinity of the sport and say, "Oh
Yeah,
my God, diapers? Are you kidding me?" You know, most people would hide that, but
exactly.
he knows how to monetize on it somewhat too as
He's
well.
monetizing on it. Yeah.
So that
But
works
he's
though.
doing, I think, but it's like what a great message to share
Yeah,
and destigmatize for how many people watching the game on TV or there at Folsom Field might have that issue and be afraid to talk about it. And just to say, me too.
that's right. But it comes with a healthy amount of confidence as well, which he has
Yes,
to
he
in
does.
order to pull that off, right? Because other people
Yeah,
may not. It doesn't matter how much they pay you. Some people would say, "Not a chance that I'm going to share that." Yeah.
absolutely.
So get over yourselves and get on with it. Like he always likes to say. I just watched a short of his YouTube shorts. I love his shorts as well. Very motivational.
Yeah.
But we'll get back into the episode talking about multi-purpose content. We talk about this all the time, right? Like repurpose is king. And
Hmm.
you mentioned it in your presentation as well. You stressed the idea of design once and deliver everywhere. Can you walk us through a specific piece that lived across Colorado or alumni advancement or social that
Yeah.
really was adapted?
I'm going to share my favorite fun one recently. This was truly about delight. It was delight and strategic. So, one of our strategic priorities as a university is to highlight student wellness and the student
Mm,
experience. And CU Boulder was awarded, recognized as the campus with the best plant based food or the
mm,
highest amount of plant based food in the country. So
mm.
we said, oh, this is really a unique take on wellness and sort of what food is available here. It's not just burgers and French fries. And I think it's 65% of the food is plant-based in our dining halls. Well, we have a partnership with our friends in the main marketing communications office. She told us we got this award came in. We're designing the magazine, we're doing the editorial decision making. And I don't remember how it came up, but the number one requested recipe from alumni is this vegan coconut bread. It's amazing. If it's on campus, people pocket it. They're in the buffet line. They're like, oh, the vegan coconut bread, like get 2 pieces now. I mean, everybody loves it. It's super delicious. It's really moist. It's got a little coconut crunch. It
Uh-huh.
sounds like it might be healthy. It's probably, full of sugar, but we love it. And we just thought, oh, this is such a great way, again, to pair interesting content. So, not just the story, but say, oh, you can have a piece of this awesome plant based food experience. You can make it in your own home or just know it's there. So, we had an incredible, incredible food photo shoot. We had a food stylist. I wasn't there. My colleague led that, Christy Henry, and great photography, close ups of the coconut bread, wonderful story that tells why it's important. And then a sidebar with the recipe and little call outs like number one requested alumni recipe. Well, all of a sudden, you're putting this in newsletters, we're putting it on social media and we're sharing it. And we're not just saying, I loved that our social media manager, Hannah Savage, did this. She didn't just say, go read this story, link in bio. She actually recreated the recipe in a square Instagram photo. So the first image in the carousel was the bread, and the second one was the recipe.
Mm,
So we don't always have to force someone to click through to something. We probably it's less friction. That content was repurposed and redesigned for that platform in the way people want to consume the content on that platform.
Did you guys record somebody making an actual bread in a short, like within a
We
minute?
didn't. That's a really good idea. We didn't do that.
I see
I
these
have
videos.
heard some people are trying to make it, and it's a little tricky with the crumbly tofu. So it's on my list. I haven't done it myself yet.
You should make it. I see these videos pop up of people making, dishes, and it's like this obnoxious one where you hear the egg crack really loud, and
Yeah.
they whisk it like
My son loves these videos.
they're trending. So you better jump on it now.
That's a really good idea. And that's one of our goals this year is to go one step further. I think doing this story showed us, okay, if we plan together early across our team and really work in an integrated way, we can get the strongest storytelling and the strongest content for these different platforms.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
just
going to take back and say, okay, what kind of reel can we get?
yeah. I mean, you can not even. I mean, they're making it every day, right? Just hop in the cafeteria, hit record, and
And there we
do it.
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very authentic, not highly polished.
Not highly polished. Yeah, we got a great one. We have an alum who owns a pretty big but local ice cream chain. And so I say we, my team, when they went to interview him, the social media manager went and created a reel at the same time. And people loved that content. So it wasn't a typical, it's a short Q&A. In the magazine, it's one page, black and white, 5
Hmm.
questions, really straightforward. But the social reel got great engagement because we brought it to life and they played into a trend and had music and, looked at how a history major becomes an ice cream entrepreneur.
That's right. No, it's easy too because I'm recently came across this app called Teleprompter, and if
Mm,
you've seen my feed, I'm pumping out like one short form video every day now just to
I
practice.
noticed.
Yeah, so I'm using so every time I have an idea, I put in a chat GPT and I come up with a script for it. And the idea is like you gotta the first 3 seconds gotta have a hook, right? You gotta catch the person in order to stay with it, and then they have to deliver the value, preferably towards the end, because this is because you're going to keep them on as long as
You
possible.
got to stop the scroll.
Yeah,
I see that's where I'm like, okay, I know it's coming at the end.
yeah.
Get to the end
To
faster.
the end to get this, and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, and if it's not too long, people usually have the patience to stick around if they're interested in it. Yeah, but the teleprompter app is what I've been using, and it works like a charm. Um,
Okay. I'm going to
do
maybe
that.
try this.
Yeah, but let's talk about a little bit beyond vanity metrics because you're an advancement after all, which needs to help bring the money in. So you
That's
cited a
right.
campaign where every $1 spent brought in $5 through content. What measurement frameworks did you put in place to prove that ROI?
Yeah. Well, this one was a pretty easy one to prove because we were running a paid campaign through Meta.
Uh,
So, what was different was that we were really trying to engage alums who maybe hadn't given as much, that lower engaged, like less philanthropic, that haven't given as such large gifts group. And we were targeting alums. And so the alum group is massive. Lots of alums donate, but there are also a lot who don't donate yet. And we created a story that talked about the value of every gift, every dollar counts. And we just, we thought, okay, let's try this. We'll put it in the campaign. Well, the social media manager puts it in the campaign, puts money on it, and comes back on the day of giving and is like, this is amazing. Every dollar spent, we're raising $5. We can see them going through and making the donation. I mean, incredible.
hmm.
Incredible just to try it, and sometimes where you strike gold and or you hit the home run, you don't know that it's going to work that well, but then you see it and you are kind of looking, okay, how do we replicate that?
That's right.
Or if it worked this year, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Run it
Yes,
again next year.
that's right. Like a football play. If that one play
Yeah.
you can get a first down every time, you run that until they stop it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Until it doesn't work anymore and then you innovate, but you don't have to. The point of repurposing is you optimize, you look at the metrics, what is working well, use it to your advantage, cut ties, be okay getting rid of something that's not working. Because we don't just churning more and more and more is exhausting. So it
Yeah.
really is you use that data to figure out how to work smarter and get the content to work for you instead of just being on the hamster wheel of I have to make more, more, more.
Yeah. Okay, exactly right. Exactly right. Talking about content a little bit more, you published quite a few stories. You had 105 Coloradan stories. So Coloradan, it's the alumni magazine, is it?
Correct. And I would say the university magazine. It says the Colorado Alumni Magazine, but it's the
Yeah.
largest magazine on campus. It covers the
Mhm.
whole campus,
That's
and
right.
it's our longest and oldest university tradition.
Yeah. So you had 105 stories in there, as far as I
About,
know.
yeah.
1,200 social posts and 450 emails. We talked about this earlier a little bit, but how do you avoid content fatigue on both sides, internally and the audience?
Yeah. I think a good thing to note there is that with the story, those 105 magazine stories, that is base content. It's not our only base content, but if it's in print, it also has a digital presence, and we're always looking to repurpose it into social, into those email campaigns, into events. My partners in donor relations are reaching out to me all the time. Partners in stewardship, hey, what stories do you have? We need an impact report, or we have an event. Who have you profiled? So we actually, our upcoming event in October, we have a story on 5 of the 6 speakers. So we're using that content to identify people that we can use in other avenues. The 1,200 social posts, a lot of that's paid media. Some of that is very branded, like gifts or quick gifts, looping things, short reels. It is still an incredible amount of content. There's one social media manager who's full time and a small team of colleagues and students who support that. Hannah's incredible. And the 450 emails include segmentations. So, for example, the Coloradan email, when we publish the magazine in print, we send out a digital version and say, hey, it's live online. Here's a few sneak peeks. We'll segment that to different audiences so we can track how they're responding to it. So it's not no work. It's
Mm-hmm.
not no work to build the 5 emails, but it's not 5 completely unique content streams.
Right. Right.
So, that 450, I wouldn't just divide it by 5. There's still probably a good 200 unique emails. I mean, we've got a homecoming campaign, an alumni weekend campaign. So, how do we prevent fatigue? We do have a really robust calendar, and we keep track of who's sending what when, and we space things out. And actually, this past year, we cut emails for some of our big campaigns. We cut the quantity, and we
Uh-huh.
saw increased numbers. So the quantity wasn't helping us raise more money. That's what
Mm.
we learned. So,
Yeah.
years 1 and 2, year 1 of our giving campaign, Buffs All In. I don't know exactly how many emails we had, but we increased the number in year 2. And then in year 3, we cut back and we raised more money. So
Amazing. How
protected the audience attention.
how big is your team? You're pushing out a lot of content.
We are pushing a lot of content. We've been 15. We do have a few people have probably seen me posting some job posts. We're reviewing resumes right now for some of those, but we're growing a little bit. We'll be at 18. And I think that's going to be our stopping point.
Yeah.
And our team
Yeah.
serves development and alumni relations. Some schools have very separate teams for those. We're a combined team and have been for about 6 years.
Okay.
If people are curious, our division is 200. It's growing. It's going to be probably a little bit more than 200 people. But we do a lot of great work.
Then you got those unnamed AI agents in the background helping
We
you out.
do. Well, some of them have names. One of them has a name because it's an AI agent for a specific person.
Oh yeah, what's the name?
Yeah. Yeah. Our vice chancellor, we worked together. I got this idea from another colleague, Tina Miller at ASU, and we created a custom GPT for our executive, for our vice chancellor. We had 300, now probably 400 or 500 pieces of content that she had helped edit. Like we'd been writing for her for, 3 years. She'd been editing things. So we knew this was her voice. And yeah, about last December, I said, okay, I'm going to create a custom GPT. And she was all on board with it. And that's helped us, get from an idea to a rough draft a lot faster. There's still, you created the prompts. We have to put info in and we edit it. But man, it speeds up the process.
Got to work smarter these days for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit because you had that in there too. You highlighted an AI assistant campaign, but how do you decide where AI adds value versus where it risks diluting voice and authenticity?
My take on AI is to always start with the human. I'm not trying to replace human ability, human creativity. The best use of AI is created because a human really thought about what they're trying to do, what they want to accomplish. The prompt is very specific, or we're using AI to do work that would be very time consuming, such as research
Hmm.
or, and I'll stop there and give an example. For commencement this past year, we were developing the content, the sort of base content for a content strategy. And our goal is to get graduating students to update their contact information so that we can communicate with them after commencement. So, one of the ideas was that there was going to be a video that another campus partner was going to make about how we celebrate commencement. And I thought, oh, great, we'll do a complimentary story. When the video came across, it wasn't quite what I had in mind. So I said, okay, there is commencement info all over colorado.edu. It's a massive website. So I went to ChatGPT and just created a specific prompt to scrub basically the entire website and find everything that a student could do to celebrate commencement. And we had a list of 15 or so things. And I passed that off to some folks on my team and I said, this is what my vision is. It doesn't all have to stay in, but here's the research. You can go and vet it. And then we had a student really hone that article. And it was our top performing, top clicked story of all the stories in the commencement campaign. And that's a 3 times a week newsletter to graduating students. And the
Hmm.
title was The Ultimate Guide to Commencement.
There you
And we're like,
go.
oh, Ultimate Guide. They liked that. So maybe we'll use Ultimate Guide for homecoming and Ultimate Guide for alumni and just test out,
Yep.
how that works. But trying to find all of that information would have taken hours and hours. Plus, we all know university websites can be convoluted. I don't think we would have found it all because
Mm,
you have to know where to go
absolutely.
look and search in a website. And if you don't know it's out there, you won't go looking down
That's
that
right.
rabbit hole.
Yep. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know, you
Um,
don't know. So AI can really help in that regard.
that is a very good use case, especially when you tell it to cite your sources. Like, where exactly did you find this piece of information? Gotta have the sources though, because AI likes to
Yeah,
make up stuff.
it does. But, and I said only search
Yep.
colorado.edu. And
That's
then
right.
when you're in the editing, you can
Yeah.
verify that it's all there. And we backlinked so that people could find the exact information, but we gave them one strong hub.
Yeah, I do that sometimes when I have a long research paper and I want to create a social post around it, and I just upload the research paper and I say pull only stuff from this research paper.
Hmm.
And then it tells me stuff that I'm like, this sounds off. Like, can you give me
Yeah.
exactly the line where you found this? Like,
Yeah.
especially when it's like numbers and stats that I don't remember seeing in there. And I'm like, well, this is like an example. I'm like, don't make up examples. I need the exact stuff that's in the
Yes.
paper.
Yes. Yeah. I've done that. Are you sure you got it from this source?
That's right.
Well, maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What good work, everybody over there at UC Boulder. Let's talk
Thank you,
about
Chris.
national recognition there, because I know you were also spotlighted by the Inside Higher Ed magazine, very reputable magazine in higher education. What
Yeah.
do you think caught their attention there? Why did they pick you up over somebody else?
Yeah. So Melissa Ezerick was the one who wrote this op-ed, and she was doing research on how people are doing philanthropy,
Hmm.
content, storytelling. She was looking at websites. And I think what caught her attention was that we were one of the websites she found that really had impact storytelling front and center on our homepage.
Hmm.
And then when she dug into our content, she saw that we weren't telling just stories. So, there you can write up a great story and put it on a web page. And going back to that, what are people interested in? What are they going to read? What are they looking for? So we've been really intentional in thinking about ways we can enhance the content. So we had a story on endowments. It was like, this is the impact of this endowment. They endowed this program and it has a great impact. And you could end there. But
Hmm.
how many readers are like, what's an endowment? Why should I care? I don't understand how that works. So we basically did an endowment 101 sidebar and just brought to life what it means, why it matters. And that she really called out too, because it was just, adding a layer of content, adding a layer of information and knowledge to the story and making it more rich. Because endowment, it's jargon, right? I think I've worked in philanthropy a long time. I know what an endowment is, but that is not an everyday word. That's not something that everybody in higher ed necessarily understands, and definitely not everybody in the general public.
Yeah. And it's journalism 101. Don't make the audience think, especially don't make them go look somewhere else for the answer, because then they'll never come back. So
They'll never come back. So we're just answering those questions. And, higher ed, we're all about education. So it was an easy way to educate, inform, hopefully inspire, all with one page.
looking ahead, fiscal year 2026 and beyond, you outlined a little bit on the roadmap for the campaign readiness. What do you see the biggest shift in higher ed content strategy over the next 3 years?
Yeah, I think that for the next 3 years, it's going to be really, really important that people adopt this stories with purpose approach.
Mm-hmm.
When I started out in higher ed, and maybe, even in recent years, I've noticed this tendency to produce stories in a fashion that's more like a newspaper newsroom. Like, oh, we've got a story, put a story out. We just have to create content.
Mm-hmm.
And my pushback there is that a newspaper business model and a university business model are completely different. The newspaper business model or an online magazine, is to have folks read a headline, get their attention, get on the website, and then the website is making money by getting ads in front of you. That's why you have all the pop-ups. That's why print magazines have ads everywhere. Higher education doesn't have pop-up ads on our website, so we're not monetizing the content itself. We actually need the content to build relationships, drive towards business goals, help move people along in making a decision about, am I going to enroll here? Am I going to apply to work here? Am I going to invest my money here and give through the university to support something that I really care about? So the content has to be driven by the business purpose and strategy. I think that's number one. We have to get out of just telling interesting stories and make sure that the stories are aligned to strategy.
That is so right, especially when you see all the the headwinds in higher education now. Every dollar counts. So just got to be aware of that as well. That the ROI needs to be front and center.
Yeah, and on that, I think data. Content creators have to be able to have a facility and comfort with data to look at it, analyze it, ask the right questions so that they can make determinations about what they're doing with new content. Am I cutting this story? Am I repurposing it? So I think moving out of I'm a writer or I'm a videographer or I'm only a social media manager identity, and really embracing data and taking responsibility for being part of the process of creating content and stories that drive business outcomes.
Absolutely. Well, good things ahead for the University of Colorado Boulder. I've been referring to it as UC Boulder, but I think it's actually CU Boulder.
We do go by CU Boulder. We're kind of like the California system. Well, I think the California system is UC Berkeley. I don't know when it became CU, but sort of maybe it's an urban legend. But at least if we say CU, we're not being confused with the California system.
That makes a lot of sense now that you said that. That makes a lot of sense, because I'm just going by University of Colorado Boulder. UC Boulder would make a lot of sense in my mind, but then I looked it up. It's actually CU Boulder. But tell us a little bit about your division at CU Boulder and how people can connect with you further after this.
Yeah, we have an incredible division. Advancement at CU Boulder is unlike any other place I've worked. We have incredible values of joy, excellence, collaboration, innovation. Like I said, we're growing a little bit. We're getting maybe near the top. Our team's growing a little bit. But we have a lot of fun here in Boulder, Colorado. And if you would like to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I think it's LinkedIn/Maria Kuntz. Pretty easy.
I'll be sure to tag you in the recap as well. Boulder, Colorado, beautiful area, big running mecca, which I really appreciate. And
yeah.
home of Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. So,
That's
Maria,
right.
really appreciate you being back on the show, sharing your insights. It was a delight. Anybody else who would like to pick her up for another podcast episode, be sure to reach out to her. She is a joy to be around. Thank you, Maria.
Chris, thank you so much for the opportunity. I enjoyed it.
And that's a wrap for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Education Marketing Leader Podcast this week. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with your friends and your network. And if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, now that you listen to one and you got inspired, reach out to me via DM. We'd love to help you launch your own. We'll take care of everything for you, the scripting, the strategy, the editing, the distribution. All you have to do is show up, connect with your audience, and build your personal brand. So if you're ready for it, let's chat. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time at the Education Marketing Leader Podcast. Take care, friends.